Imagine overhearing someone say that. We still talk to each other just like we did in high school. And get this, it's not a couple of teenagers talking. It's two friends, and they're both over 60. Wow. I mean, that one simple sentence just holds a whole lifetime of connection, right? Of something you can really count on. So, what's the secret ingredient there?
Well, that's what we're going to dive into today. It's this powerful, but honestly, pretty overlooked quality: consistency. You know, it's not flashy, it's not loud. It's this quiet virtue that ends up being the foundation for, well, pretty much everything that matters. Our strongest relationships, our deepest trust, and, ultimately, a more meaningful life.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll start with that lifelong friendship. Then we'll get to the heart of relationships, what makes them tick. From there, we'll talk about trust, the currency of trust. Then, a look at what we could call a divine consistency. And finally, the reward you get from living a consistent life. Sound good? Let's get into it.
All right, so let's start with Section 1, a lifelong friendship. This is that heartwarming story of steadfastness that really kicks this whole thing off.
Okay, so picture this. You're at a wedding, and over at one of the tables, there are these two friends, both in their 60s now, just catching up. Turns out they were high school buddies. One's from LA, the other flew in from Toronto. And as you're kind of watching them, you realize their conversation is just so easy. It's informal, it's intimate, it's like no time has passed at all. They're laughing and joking with the exact same energy they probably had as teenagers. It's just a beautiful, living, breathing example of a friendship that has truly lasted.
So, what's at the heart of relationships like that? Let's define the core ingredient. I mean, a connection like that is just incredible, isn't it? But here's the thing. It's not magic. It doesn't just happen by accident. So you gotta ask, what is the secret? What's that core ingredient that lets a bond like that just flourish for decades and decades?
Well, there's actually a Korean word for it that really gets to the heart of it, hangyolgaetum. It translates to consistency or steadfastness. And it's this idea of being unchanging in your nature, your standard, your effect over time. Now, that doesn't mean being boring. Not at all. It means being reliable. You're that steady presence that people know they can count on, again and again. And if you think about it, good relationships really need this coming and going of the heart. It's a beautiful phrase, right? It means there's a flow of emotion, of vulnerability, of real connection. Well, consistency, that's the lifeblood that makes that flow even possible. It's what creates the safe space where we feel secure enough to let our hearts come and go.
Okay, so moving on to the currency of trust. Let's talk about why consistency matters to everyone. Because this whole idea, it goes way beyond just close friendships. It's not only about intimacy. It's actually the foundation of how we build trust with, well, pretty much everyone.
I mean, just look at the difference here. Think about the consistent people in your life. They're trustworthy, they're stable. Being around them is just welcoming, it's comforting. You know who you're going to get. But then you've got the inconsistent person. They're totally unpredictable, right? Volatile, even. And it just creates this feeling of unease. Frankly, it's exhausting trying to guess which version of them is going to show up today. So, I mean, who would you rather have in your corner?
It really all boils down to this simple but incredibly profound idea. Trust is born from consistency. That's it. We don't ultimately trust people because they're flashy or charismatic. Nope. We trust people who are steadfast. People whose actions actually match their words, day in and day out. Simple as that.
Okay, now we're going to take this concept and look at it from a higher perspective. The source material talks about a divine consistency, which is really the ultimate model of what it means to be steadfast.
So, in this framework, God's love is described as being totally unchanging. Kind of like the father in the story of the prodigal son, just always there, always waiting, always welcoming. We see this in the description of Jesus being the same yesterday and today and forever, a real anchor of stability. And it's also said that he loved his people to the end, which means not just when things were good, but all the way through. This is really held up as the ultimate ideal of unwavering, steadfast love.
So, with that in mind, let's talk about the consistent life's reward. Let's bring this lesson home. Seeing that kind of ultimate model, the question naturally becomes, okay, so what about us? If we try to live a more consistent life, what does that actually look like, and what's in it for us?
Well, the source gives us some pretty amazing examples from the Bible. You've got Enoch, who apparently walked with God for 300 years. I mean, talk about long-term consistency. That's incredible. Then there's John the Baptist, who knew his purpose and just
stuck to it. He never wavered, which made him someone people could really count on. And of course, the Apostle Paul. Through all kinds of hardship, he stayed true to his mission from the very beginning to the very end. That kind of steadfastness is what built a movement.
So how can we actually cultivate this in our own lives? Well, it boils down to two main pillars. Think of it like this. Step one is an upward consistency. That's your love for God, your faith, your core values, what you believe deep down. And step two is an outward consistency. That's your love for neighbor, how you actually live out those values in your actions toward other people every single day. It's about having a true north and then just walking that path.
And when you do that, look at the two ultimate rewards you get. This is huge. On one hand, from God, you get praise as a faithful person. But then from people, from everyone around you, you gain trust. And trust is something money just can't buy. It's priceless. You can't purchase it. You have to earn it one consistent action at a time.
So we want to leave you with this question to chew on. First, who is your model of consistency? Who is that steady, reliable person in your life that you know you can always count on? And then, maybe more importantly, how can you be that person for others? How can you be that consistent, trustworthy presence for the people who are counting on you?